But the basic thing is the schools, the coaches, are not free to contact the individual until a student athlete's name is in the database, the portal.
Okay.
Until then, you can't contact his parents, things like that. Players do whatever the hell they want.
Yep.
And this is where it gets very dicey. What is the NIL collective guy, the business guy? Can he contact? Yes. They're behind on this.
All right, welcome into the Maize and Blue Reviews afternoon live. We're here weekdays at 1 o'clock. We're a part of Rivals.com. We're talking about the latest in Michigan sports. And that right there, you heard from Dan Wetzel and Pat Forty on the College Football Inquirer, and they were talking about name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal and this big story going on between Pitt and USC that is playing out here in the for the next minutes, get too dramatic about it, but, probably today, here to talk a little Michigan. It's great to have him on, is the publisher of the Maize and Blue Review, Josh Henschke, and it's good to see him there. What's going on, Josh?
Yeah, Dennis, it's been a while. How's it going?
Well, it's a beautiful day outside today. Not really. It's affecting my, practicing my golf swing out in the front yard, but other than that, and I'm just making it through,
Yeah, I hear you. Got to make it through somehow.
Well, I spent all morning on the Wolverine Den, talking Michigan football and NIL and transfer portal. Basically, what we're going to be talking about today. So it's good, and I'll just lead it right along with you here and show everybody that's watching on YouTube or through Twitter, the various ways that you can watch this afternoon live program. We'll get to the NIL collectives, the transfer portal, and is it ruining college athletics? And to take you to a story here, it's one that has been circulating, and not that you have paid great attention to it, Josh, but you have. It's not like you have ignored it.
Right.
But it is the Emoni Bates to Michigan. A story here, and Jeff Goodman tweeted last night that Old Bates has narrowed his list to the following, and he's got a bunch of schools on there, including Eastern Michigan, my alma mater, and Michigan shows up on that list. What do you make of the half dozen destinations there by Bates's camp?
Yeah, it's kind of an intriguing list considering, what Emoni Bates was heading into college, this big time prospect that was, comparable to Kevin Durant and all this stuff, and kind of to see what this list of schools is. It's kind of like almost like a reality check. Like, wow, this thing has really, really gone south for him a little bit since entering into school. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Michigan is on there. Considering everything that I've been told in regards to Michigan's pursuit of him, and I really think this is a case of Emoni wanting Michigan, not necessarily Michigan not wanting him, but Michigan not getting involved in recruiting him. So all the pictures with Juwan talking to Emoni, I mean, they've known each other for a long time. There's a previous relationship there, so it kind of makes sense. And not to mention as well, Juwan is the type of person that likes to mentor kids in general, not just ones that go to Michigan. Kennedy Chandler from Tennessee is a good example of that. He likes to stay in touch with people he's made connections with, and to help mentor them. Outside of basketball, not necessarily for if they play for him, it's kind of like just a lifetime partnership type of thing and a relationship thing. So let's put it this way. I would be very surprised if Emoni Bates is a Michigan Wolverine, despite, all that's out there, him following coaches on Instagram or whatever. It just seems like an unlikely pairing.
Kennedy Chandler, you mentioned, he was the guard that you may remember after the Michigan-Tennessee NCAA tournament game in the handshake line.
Yep.
Where, a lot of developments happened with Michigan. You got to keep an eye on it. he was the one that was embracing the youngster from
yes.
the Vols after the game. In addition to Goodman, there was also this tweet from Andrew Slater. I'm not familiar with his work, but he works for The Athletic. He had it pared down to Michigan, EMU, and Louisville. So I don't know who he's talking with there. Eastern, Bates is from Ypsilanti. That would really be a coup for the Eagles. That would be awesome. They haven't asked me to be involved in a collective to throw them $100, but if I knew it was earmarked for Bates, to go to the Gervin Center, I would be in on that. I'd probably do the same thing for Michigan if somehow they got a collective together and wanted Emoni Bates. But my read on Michigan fans is that it seems to be, I don't know if I had to put it, 80-20 in favor of thanks but no thanks.
Yeah.
For Emoni Bates. Is that your feeling as well?
Yeah, I don't think it's really split down the middle. I think it's more leaning towards, thanks, but no thanks. If it wasn't such a mess in Memphis last year, I think fans might be more open to the possibility of adding Bates. But I don't think. I mean, it's to the point now where I think Michigan fans would probably put up a little bit of a stink if he did. If Juwan did decide to take him in, but it's one of those things where they're like, all right, well, fine, this happened, and all right, we'll just deal with it. But I think if a good percentage of Michigan fans had a choice, I think they would pass and go elsewhere with this imaginary scholarship, which is a whole other discussion in itself. But I don't know if out of those three schools, I mean, it would be, like you mentioned, it would be great if he went to Eastern. Yeah. I mean, great for the city of Ypsilanti. It'd be a great pull for that program and to bring, to put butts in seats. It would be awesome, but Louisville seems like the most likely choice there out of the three, and that's not necessarily a bad landing spot. I mean, they've got a new coach; they're trying to, create a new culture there, and and really, you're really considering Emoni just a rental at this point because he's not a 4-year guy, and he wants to go to the league as soon as he possibly can, and he's probably a 2-year guy, so. I mean, I think the whole idea of this thing is probably more along the lines of thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I would have thought if for, some, I don't know if it's a miracle, if some surprise, maybe even shock that if Emoni Bates, if it came out that he was picking Michigan, it doesn't look like, at least as far as we know right now, that Michigan is putting up front NIL money to athletes. So if he was picking U of M, it would be to come in to fit into more of a team concept and not just looking for the biggest deal, because if he was doing that, he'd be going elsewhere. So maybe that there'd be something there. And after his experience down in Memphis, which I saw a tweet that you put up today, or was you embedded a tweet of the Wolverine Den. It was from somebody who had some knowledge of how things were going down at Memphis, and it wasn't anything glowing.
Yeah.
Bates
at least
and company. Kind of turning the page here a little bit, although it's still talking about name, image, and likeness. This is a story that I alluded to at the beginning that is playing out. And while we thought we were going to have some conclusion, because to get into that transfer portal May 1st, and here we are on the 2nd, we thought we would know all this. And Pete Thamel, everybody's been watching this Jordan Addison, the wide receiver from Pitt, who Pittsburgh says came out. Pat Narduzzi came out and is on record, and he's upset that he looks like he's taking an offer from USC, and he's not yet in the portal yet. Meanwhile, Pete Thamel, if you're just listening to this on the podcast, says that the compliance has 2 business days to enter names into the portal, so that still could happen. And the thing about this, you get into the portal, then you can start talking to coaches, but you are not allowed to talk to coaches, and you're not allowed to get a deal, an NIL deal on the West Coast with USC before you get in there. So this is I would say the top news right now when it comes down to name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, I mean, this is, this is what college athletics is right now. It's, you've got programs openly accusing others of tampering, and what Dan Wetzel said, in the open there is 100% right. I mean, it's a wild west out there right now. Not just with transfer portal and with NIL as well. It's what's happened in the dark for all these years is now openly come into the light, and people aren't even pretending and even faking it anymore. This is what college football and athletics has been for years, behind the scenes, for so long. Now you can do it openly and legally for now. But it's, I want to preface all of this by saying I have no issues with players wanting to profit off their own likeness and profit for the work that they put in, because I do believe that they deserve it. But there should be some sort of, I don't know what you do. You give them a 4-year contract with a non-compete clause in it and give them a certain amount of money per year. I don't know what the fix is, but I do believe players are certainly should be allowed to profit, whether it's sponsorships, signings, all of that stuff. But there has to be some sort of limitation to what we're doing here, because it's, essentially you're talking about, a free agent market with guys that are currently, in programs elsewhere. It's wild. And, there has to be some sort of limitation, some sort of control or oversight. I don't know what the answer is, but this I don't think this is a sustainable product. Again, college football and basketball is all about the haves and have-nots, but we're just creating a even wider gulf between the haves and have-nots. The have-nots are falling behind because they don't have the money to fork up for these guys who are asking for $2-3 million. It's crazy. It's just, and this is just what it is in this modern age of collegiate athletics.
Well, hold that thought, because I have an interesting column that I want to show you. I do want to recommend to everybody listening, watching, anything else, that why don't you come join us on the Maize and Blue Review, and do it today. Subscribe to the Maize and Blue Review. You go to michigan.rivals.com/sign up. It's really easy. It's directed right there to get you in there. You subscribe to the Maize and Blue Review on YouTube. You basically, what we're doing right now, it's a all day, all week type focus on Michigan and college sports. And yeah, we get to some other things on there as well. A lot of fun. So get involved with that. Now, I mentioned that interesting column that I had, and I go to the Maize and Blue Review for that. And this column, as we go down a little bit here, look at the NCAA. Oh, look at this. It's by Josh Henschke. There it is.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Blue Review. So, yeah, you go to transfers and tampering, and you're talking about the new era of college athletics. And while it's a good read. While you were looking for some answers, you did suggest one here, and I highlighted it, and I will read it. Instituting a NIL cap of some kind could help stop mega deals from careening out of control across the country. How about a little bit more from you on that? A cap, maybe. You throw some suggestions out there. I hadn't thought of capping money to players, but we are in the beginning here. A lot of ideas being thrown around about how this thing can be tweaked.
Yeah. What's a cap, right? What is an appropriate limit? We're talking about a free society, a free economy where people are allowed to make as much money as they so desire. But in this case, how do you stop these? Do you stop this ridiculous amount of money? It's just a crazy. It's just a crazy time that we're in terms of just collegiate athletics and where this is all headed. It's just it's just a wild time. I mean, it's really hard to, even suggest fixes because you don't want to limit a player's ability to earn, but at the same time, you want to combat, these bag men that come in and offer ridiculous amounts of cash to pay for your school. It's, do you make it taxable? Is it something that, that you have to be public about and release an earnings report or whatever? There's a lot of different avenues that you can explore here, but at the end of the day, I just don't see this as a sustainable product. And you're losing fans too, because you go back to the old school college athletic fan who appreciates the collegiate game because people do it for the love of the sport and to hope to make it to the next level. But that's just we're in a new age, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to predict because you don't want to limit the kids getting money, but at the same time, this is quickly spinning out of control, and it's just only going to get worse.
Yeah, nothing against the kids. It does suck for the sport, when you have, people used to talk about, myself included, one and dones in college basketball. I'd say that's ruining the sport, because as soon as you know a guy, he's off to the pros. And Frankie Collins was a really good example. He was a fun, exciting freshman for Michigan that he's got a little bit of a peak at, and then here he came up big in the tournament. You're thinking, wow, Frankie Collins is going to have a couple more years, at least one more year of Frankie Collins. And then Frankie Collins is like, no, I'm out. And you're like, hey, he can. You can just jump in that portal and you're gone, poof, like that. And that's it. So that is what I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. If you feel like, regarding Michigan, when you look at, to go back what we had on the screen at the beginning, collectives, like Hunter Dickens is making big time money at Michigan with his name, image, and likeness. JJ McCarthy, he might be up making a 7 figures for UFM. So there are guys that are profiting at Michigan.
For sure.
Did not come to Michigan with the promise of NIL deals. That was before this all happened. But there are schools, USC is out there. They've got their businessmen. It's separate from the university. They're just out there now. How that's working together, do you expect that Michigan will have some businessmen / collectives that will push towards paying players to get in, like some other schools are doing? We know Tennessee, Texas A&M, we believe Alabama, Georgia, a lot of the SEC. Notre Dame has got their own collective going right now as well. What's your guess on that? Do you think they'll toe the Michigan line and how things are going right now? Because you hear a lot of people like, oh, just wait. I mean, I know it's become a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
Michigan's NIL, just wait. They're ready to, this thing's ready to explode. So what's your best guess on that?
Yeah, I think that Michigan should start some sort of collective. Yes. I mean, you got to have alumni, business, and whatever willing to, openly open up their checkbooks for not necessarily a guaranteed return. I mean, it's a risk. It's definitely it very much reminds me of gambling. You're gambling on, a 5-star recruit or, a stud transfer out of the portal to come in and take the team to the next level. And you don't necessarily get a return. Not even monetarily, you won't get a return. So, you're basically, lighting hundreds of dollars on fire and in hopes of, it doesn't just burn up. So it is a great risk, but, we're at a point now, we're in an inflection point of college athletics that if you don't adapt to the way things are going, you're going to get left behind. You can't just rely on, we're Michigan, we have this, extensive tradition. Michigan generally recruits very well every year, but, now we're talking dollars and cents. That kind of changes things a bit because the mindset of recruits aren't necessarily, excuse me. I mean, you have some recruits that value education, but when you're talking about recruiting, Now the first question is, okay, well, how much are you going to pay me? That's probably, a lot of questions were asked about that before too. I mean, this is not a new phenomenon we're talking about, but I think Michigan needs to adapt somehow. And, I think some people who have the means can, decide to, create a collective and things like that. But again, you got to have people willing to do that. And are there people out there? Sure. But I don't know if they're going to be the type that will put up, 18 million or whatever the ridiculous number Texas A&M paid for its recruiting class last year. So there's a lot of moving parts, and it's just ridiculous time. It's just hilarious that we're talking about this right now, but it's just what it is.
It is. It feels like the philosophy or the ideals of Michigan is going to have to change. Can you get that guaranteed money up front rather than saying, yeah, you sign here. Look we got guys you can then go out and really profit. Look at some of the guys that we have. That barrier there is one that Michigan's going to have to really look at. Well, we want you to look at one more thing here, and that is the wrong screen. Here's the right one. We want your feedback here. This is now 20 minutes. I would not put this as a short video or a short pod, but if you like short videos and pods, go to the comment section, the TMBR pod or YouTube, and go ahead and say, yeah, shorten these up. I would listen to them, or yeah, keep it going. We like it like that. So we want your feedback on that. Josh, anything else that you're keeping an eye on here as we move into May, even though it kind of feels like April out there still?
Yeah, right. Not much going on in the month of May. I mean, June is where kind of things heat up a little bit with basketball. They've got Michigan's got a 2023 4-star official visitor coming in mid-month, Gavin Griffiths. Just put an article on the page today for our subscribers. Michigan sits in a pretty good spot for him. So they're hoping to make even more moves once he comes on a visit. And yeah, just keeping an eye on whatever is going to happen with this transfer portal and the Moussa Diabate and Caleb Houston situation. Just keeping an eye on that, but it's business as usual going forward here. Just waiting on the fall.
All right, great job, and we'll look for that countdown counter from you in the days ahead. All right, great to talk with you. We hope we do it again. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday, May the 2nd.